So this is tip number 5 on how to get a referral as a real estate investor. It is super important that you establish a clear message. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, it can look like a few things. Number one, you can establish a niche, right? For example, I've got a friend who buys mobile homes, and it's very specifically mobile homes in a certain area on land. Super easy, right? Do you think he gets referrals because he has a very specific um, type, right? Like it's not just, a very vague thing. What if you are someone who buys fire damaged houses, right? And like that's how you market and brand yourself. You have a very clear message. I buy fire damaged houses. What if I have a friend in Florida who buys sinkhole. Like I didn't know sinkholes were a thing. Thank God we don't have them that I know of here in New Orleans and Louisiana. What about, what about if you buy, for example, if you buy hotels to convert them in apartment complexes? What if you buy, um, land in these areas? Like if you have more of a niche and a very clear message, right? Like that's super. You don't have to have a niche, but do you have a clear message? If you haven't seen my video, my anti we buy houses theory, this is when it would be a really good time for you to watch it. Basically, I hate the bandit signs and the message that says we buy houses because you should not be buying every house. So instead, long story short, you should be saying something like, I stop foreclosures. I buy unwanted inherited properties. I buy fixer uppers. I buy tenant damaged houses. I buy, whatever, right? So all of that is super important. You've got to have a clear message. If people don't know what you do, like they're not going to pick up the phone and call you. So one time someone challenged me. They said, Courtney, ask, 5 acquaintances, ask a neighbor, ask an in-law sibling, like a brother-in-law or something. Ask, ask your best friend's husband, or wife. Ask, maybe a neighbor or something, like a coworker or something, someone who's just an acquaintance, right? Not like your spouse or your parent or your children, right? Or your best friend. Ask again, an acquaintance. Say, can you tell me in your own words what I do? Like, this is crazy. This girl, Courtney, challenged me for something. She told me ask 5 people who are not, direct, immediate family or something like that, right? And say, hey, can you describe what you think I do for a living? There's no right or wrong answer here. Just, I want to know if I'm doing a good enough job displaying it. And guys, when I did that, so many people said, like, I don't know, are you a realtor or something? I am not a licensed agent, nor have I never been one, nor have I ever attempted to play one. That is not what I do. Super important to understand that literally when it comes to um, this concept of like what do you do and people being able to regurgitate it back to you, it's this idea there that if they don't know what you do, they won't be able to send someone your way. If you don't have a clear message, one of my favorite concepts around this is if you don't have a clear message, it is then vague. If it's too vague, then you're leaving the definition and the interpretation up to the other party, and they're going to get it wrong, right? Because you haven't trained them well enough. So you've got to have a clear message. I don't care if that is through a niche. I don't care if, through, I repeatedly, I'm ironing out my clear message with repetition with social media, right? It could be your marketing. But guys, I mentioned in one of the other videos that I went to a conference with Grant Cardone. Again, don't love him necessarily for real estate stuff, but for marketing, he does have some good points. And he said a quote that just rocked my world. He goes, my name's Grant Cardone, and if you don't know who I am or how I can help you, that is my fault. Guys, you've got to take personal responsibility. If someone doesn't know who you are and how you can help them, that's your fault. There's probably someone in your Facebook friends group who either them directly or indirectly through someone they know is facing foreclosure or they've got an unwanted property. But like if they don't know you exist and that you can help them, that is your responsibility. please, please, please stop being a silent professional. Have a clear message. You might even be a loud professional, but if you don't have a clear message, it's almost as bad as if you're a silent professional. God, let me say that again. You may not be a silent professional. You may be, we buy houses, doing all these things, but if they don't know like clearly what you do, it's just as bad as if you were silent. This also goes for the people who are doing too much, right? Like you have 10 different businesses, this, that, and the other, and people don't know actually kind of like how to send someone to you, right? Because they're like, well, you just can never stay, I can never be caught up with all that you're doing. You're just doing so much. And I just forget that you do that too, because you do this and you do that and da da da. Um, you got to have a clear message. That is so critical. A clear message is so critical for getting referrals as a real estate investor. Stay tuned for tip number 6.